Hello students. Today we are going to study macroeconomics, chapter 2, that is national income accounting. And we are going to cover the meaning and factors of production, about national income, calculation of national income, and circular flow of income. Now, first let's understand what is national income. Now, this national income is regarded as a most comprehensive measure of the level of economic activity and index of economic growth of an economy. National income means the value of all the final goods and services which are produced by the normal resident of a country, whether they are operating within the domestic territory of the country or outside in a particular period of time. So we can say that value of all the goods and services which are produced either by the resident of the country or by the person who's a resident of the country but working outside in a particular year. That is national income. Now, as we all know that national income, it's one of the common denominator for calculating national income is money, and we can assign monetary value in terms of either market price or in terms of factor cost. So when we say factor cost, all the costs which are involved for factor of production. Now, first let's understand that what are final goods and services. Now, these final goods and services are sold to final users during the year, and these are known as finished goods which are ready for final consumption. We can take the example of food items or refrigerator, etc., which is ready for consumption by the user or by the consumer. Now, intermediate products. What are intermediate goods? There are certain goods which are used by the producer for further production process, and those materials or those goods are produced by some other firms, and which the final producer is using it for further production. Like, let's say for example, seeds and fertilizers are, you can say, the raw materials which are going to be used for further production or for further cultivation. So resold after any goods which are resold after converting into final goods are called intermediate product. Like, let's say for example that if there is a firm ABC who's producing yarn, and there is a firm XYZ who's producing garments. Now, this yarn is a semi-finished product or an intermediate good for the final producer who is going to produce the garments, because he is going to use that yarn as an intermediate product. So these are the products which are used by producers for further production process. Now, to measure the national income accurately, all the goods and services produced during a particular year must be counted only once and not twice. Now, just now I told you about intermediate goods. It should be really taken care that they are not taken into consideration while counting. Let me give you an example. Like, let's say, for example, if there is a farmer who's producing wheat and there is a baker who's manufacturing or producing bread. Now, when the farmer has produced wheat, that same wheat is going to be consumed or used by the baker for production of bread. Now, for him, that wheat is a raw material. Now, let's say, for example, if farmer has produced wheat which is worth 100 rupees, he has kept wheat worth 50 rupees for his self consumption, and he has sold worth 50 rupees to the baker. Now, when the baker is doing the production of, let's say, worth rupees 200, his actual production is only 150, because that 50 rupees is an intermediate product which he had purchased from the farmer. We would be learning this further in value added method, but just to give you an understanding, intermediate products are excluded from calculation of national income. And as I said, that flour mill sell flour to bakeries, or bakery uses flour for making breads which are sold to the household. So you can take either this example or the wheat and baker example. Now, what is flow? Let's understand that national income is a flow concept. It is a flow of goods and services. A flow is a quantity one particular financial year. It tells us how many rupees worth of goods and services are flowing in the economy per unit of time. And as I said, that national income is expressed over 1 year, which we generally call it as a financial year. So what is current output? National income measures the value of currently produced goods and services, which means that it excludes such sale and purchase of second-hand goods or used goods, because already that calculation is being done. And it also excludes purchase and sale of securities and transfer payment. But why? Because nothing new is produced in the current year. Like, let's say, for example, that there is a purchase or sale of second-hand goods. Now, we are not going to include it because that might already have been included previously while calculating. So nothing new has been produced in the current year. So what to do with the value of services of the commission agent which is involved in the second-hand sales? Regarding sales and purchase of financial asset, be it old or new, like bonds or shares, what are we going to do with that? So we would, of course, that would give a rise to the problem of double counting, which means you are calculating the same good twice, and that should be avoided while calculating national income. So I'm going to teach you all the basic concepts now. Let's understand that who are the normal residents. Those person who ordinarily reside in a country which they live and whose economic interest lies in that country only. They may or may not be the citizen of that country. That is, the normal resident include national as well as foreign nationals. And they produce goods and services by selling their factor services, be it land, labor, capital, or entrepreneur. And when we talk about domestic territory means geographical or political boundary excluding foreign embassies and international institutions which are located within the geographical territory. So domestic product is nothing but value of final goods and services plus net factor income which is received from abroad. We can also call it as NFIA, that is net factor income from abroad. Now, national income is not the sum total of personal incomes. So how do we calculate that? So before that, first let's understand what is circular flow of income. Now, we know that we have factor of production and there is a flow of money within the economy, and there are many functions which are taking place. That is, many economic activities which are taking place like production, exchange, consumption, distribution, and all this is circular flow of income. So interaction and interdependence between the various economic activities like production, exchange, consumption is called circular flow of income. And as I had mentioned that national income is a flow concept, production gives rise to income, which gives rise to consumption, which means that whenever any firm is producing something, it is going to distribute it for consumption. So production gives rise to income, which gives rise to consumption, expenditure, and expenditure gives rise to income again. So it goes on and on continuously and indefinitely in a circular way. So when we talk about the circular flow of income, it could be the real flow, money flow. There are three phases, and production, income, and expenditure method of calculating your GDP. So first, let's understand that what is the real flow. The general involvement of different sector in the circular flow are this. We have household, we have production sector, that is firm, we have government sector, and rest of the world. Now, and these are the basic factor of production that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. When we talk about the real flow, we just have the household and the producers or the firms, which we can also call it as a closed economy where we are not communicating or we are not globalized with the and not dealing with the outside world. So this is the circular flow model in a two-sector economy where there are only two economic agents, that is firm and household. Household passes all the factors of production, that is factor services, to the firm. In return, firms gives them factor payment. That is, when the household is supplying land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, firm gives them factor payment in the form of rent. For labor, it is wages. For capital, it is interest. And for entrepreneur, it is profit. So this way, they give the factor payment. Now, all the goods and services which are produced by the firm, those goods and services are passed on to the household because it is the household ultimately who's going to purchase these goods and services from the firms. And in return, this household are going to pay, or you can say that they are going to have consumption expenditure for the goods and services which they have purchased. So this is the basic two-sector economy. And when we add the third factor, that is financial market. When I say financial market, we are talking about money and finance. Now we already know the relation between the producers and household. So now let's talk about the financial market and their relation with household and firms. Household, they do savings in the financial market, be it any financial institution like banks or any financial institution. Similarly, even producer is going to do the saving, and both of them are also going to borrow from the banks or financial market. So this was the entry of the third economic agent, that is producers, firm, and now we have financial market. Now let's understand how would be three-sector model. So in three-sector model, apart from financial market or apart from finance, we also have government, because in the present scenario, it is not possible for any country to run its economy without finance and government. So now let's understand the relation. Again, now we know producers, money, finance, and a household relation with each other. Now let's understand that how producers are related to government and how household are related to government in the circular flow. So government gives subsidy to the firms. In return, the firms, whatever they are producing, it pays taxes for the income which is generated. And all the, we can see that in blue line, that is taxes on the left hand side, that firms are paying taxes whenever the firm produces or earns profit, they have to pay the tax. In return, government is also giving them subsidy, which is represented with green arrow, subsidy which is given to the producers. Now, all the goods and services which are produced by the firm, it is the government who's also going to purchase apart from the household, because government would also require goods and services. So government is spending, that is expenditure on goods and services. Now coming on to the right hand side of the slide, that is how household is involved in the circular flow with the government. Again, in the same way, we also pay taxes, and government also gives us transfer payment, be it pension or be it subsidy. So as we saw, this is the three-sector model. Now, government also does the saving into financial market, and they also borrow at times from the financial market. Now, talking about the four-sector economy, which is an open economy, and here there is an entry of rest of the world. This is the real open economy which we are living in, because it's not possible for us just to have a three-sector economy, because we are globalized, we have liberalization, we are a globalized country. We need to involve rest of the world. Now, how do they help in this circular flow? Firstly, producers and rest of the world. They both are involved into export and import. And when we talk about the household, there are net factor payment and there are net transfer payments. Now, if we talk about this savings and borrowings with the financial market, now when households are saving, which means they are keeping the money or they are saving the money, they are withdrawing. There is a withdrawal from the circular flow. That is, there is a withdrawal of money, and the part of the money is saved with the household. So when we talk about leakages in the circular flow of income, this flow variable which have negative impact on the process of production, that is saving, taxes and imports. So we can say that our savings are our leakages, because when we save, there is a withdrawal of money from the circular flow. Then what are leakages? Leakages are our investment, the government consumption expenditure and exports. So this is a flow variable which causes expansion in the process of production. So when we are investing into something, when the government is spending or is having consumption expenditure, then it is called injections in the circular flow. So we can see that injection and when there is government consumption expenditure or exports. So this is what I was talking about. You can see from the diagram that how there are leakages from the household through banks, government, that is net savings, net taxes, import expenditure, and injections, again, investment, government expenditure, and export expenditure. So we can see that money is always in the circular flow. So circularity never stops. And innovative technology, both in the areas of production and management, have, introduced many things, and there have been many discoveries of new resources. Now, what is the significance of the study of circular flow of income? Firstly, knowledge of interdependence, identification of injection and leakages, estimation of national income, that is, it helps us to understand and estimate the national income, and it also helps us to know the level and structure of economic activity. Thank you very much. In the next session or in the next part, we would be discussing about the basic concepts which are related to calculation of national income, and also about the methods of or the measurements of national income. Thank you very much.